Welcome to Beyond Your Why podcast, where we go beyond just talking about your why and actually help you discover and then live your why. You see, we believe that knowing your why, that driving force behind every decision you make and every action you take, is the essential first step to really knowing yourself. It allows you to move forward faster and have a bigger impact. If you're already a fan of the show, then you know that every week we talk about one of the 9 whys, and then we introduce you to somebody with that why so you can see how their why is played out in their life. This show will be more powerful for you if you've already discovered your why. If you still need to do that, head over to whyinstitute.com and discover your why today. It'll only take you about 5 minutes. Now, let's meet today's guest. This week, we're going to be talking about the why of make sense, to make sense of the complex and challenging. So if this is your why, then you are driven to solve problems and resolve challenging and complex situations. You have an uncanny ability to take in lots of data and information. You tend to observe situations and circumstances around you and then sort through them to quickly and easily create solutions that are sensible and easy to implement. You often are viewed as an expert because of your unique ability to find solutions quickly. You also have a gift for articulating solutions and summarizing them clearly in an understandable language. You believe that many people are stuck, and if they could just make sense out of their situation, they could develop simple solutions and move forward. In essence, you help people get unstuck and move forward. And so today, I've got a great guest for you. Her name is Stephanie Glanzer. She is the Chief Sales Officer and Senior Vice President for MGM Resorts International. In this role, she's responsible for the company's overall sales strategy and operation, comprised of group, industry relations, global sales, and luxury sales strategies, as well as property operations, including event catering, convention services, and MGM Resorts events and productions. Through her 26-year tenure at MGM Resorts, Stephanie has held a variety of executive sales positions, including Vice President of Sales at Mandalay Bay and Aria Resort and Casino, where she was a member of the pre-opening team. Stephanie began her career with MGM Resorts International in 1998 at the Mirage in leisure sales and went on to move into a variety of management and leadership sales positions at the Mirage and Bellagio as she evolved within the organization. Stephanie earned degrees in organizational business as well as sales and marketing from Southern Methodist University in Dallas. She sits on the executive boards of Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International and the U.S. Travel Association and is on the board of the AMC Institute. In her time away from work, she enjoys travel, live music, cooking, and spending time with her family. Stephanie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me
Well,
and for that lovely introduction.
yes, that was a mouthful. You have done a lot.
When I listen to it like that, I feel like I have, and it feels like time has flown by. So I'm not sure how that happens.
Yeah, just to let our audience kind of have a sense of what you do on a regular basis. How many events do you put on in a year?
Depending on how you look at it, because there's many subcategories, but we do just between 4,000 and 5,000 groups a year. Of course, within those groups, many subgroups and smaller, but on average, 4,000 to 5,000 a year here in Las Vegas.
And how does that sound to say that?
It's a lot, but you know what? The team does an amazing job, and it baffles me every day what they execute and the experiences that they pull off.
Okay, so 4,000 to 5,000 events, and how many people in each of these events?
Well, what we consider a group is anything over 10 rooms, and that can be all the way up to a 20,000 person corporate event, or for trade shows, anywhere from 60 to 80,000 go in and out of our largest convention center, which is Mandalay Bay, which houses some of the largest trade shows in the world.
So, I mean, this is a major operation. And how many different event properties does MGM have?
So here in Las Vegas, we have 13 resorts. Really, on the one side, everything from Mandalay Bay all the way to Bellagio, and then on the other side of the street, MGM Grand. So again, 13, all of those with all sizes of meeting spaces and different amenities, and obviously multiple venues, including many arenas and theaters that include the Dolby Theater, Michelob Ultra, Grand Garden Arena, T-Mobile, which again is home to the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So really a plethora of opportunities, no matter what type of size or profile of a group it is.
So for those that are listening, if they put on an event, any size event, MGM could be a possibility.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's the beauty of the company is we have something for everybody within all price points. And like I mentioned earlier, within all sizes. So that is how the teams work together to place that business based on customer preference, based on availability, based on the budget of the group and the attendee. We really, again, do have something for everyone. And as groups grow, whether through organic growth or through merger and acquisition, a lot of our groups stay with us. They just move on to the next biggest convention facility. So if you started at Bellagio and then you have to move to Aria and then you have to move to Mandalay Bay, we have that capability.
That's awesome. And there are MGM properties outside of Vegas, right?
We do. We have properties mostly on the East Coast, just outside of DC and National Harbor, Atlantic City, just outside of Boston, Biloxi, and Detroit are the properties that all have meeting spaces for groups.
So that is, I wanted us to go through that because I wanted people to get a sense of how much stuff you're dealing with on a daily basis. Because to put on one event that we do once a year seems like an unbelievable amount of work, and to do 4 to 5 thousand of them, much larger than ours, seems mind-boggling to me. So you have the perfect why for that.
Yes, exactly, and it like I think I mentioned earlier, sometimes when you go to an event, a convention, a trade show, I think sometimes attendees think that they're someone snaps a finger and it all the magic just happens, and what really goes on to execute those, especially at the level of some of these complex and larger events, is really quite amazing. I think I used the example earlier of 20,000 people corporate event to go into our banquet kitchens and watch the preparation for breakfast and lunch being served for 20,000 people. Think about that. At a level that is more resort quality food than convention center food. It really amazes me. And they have it down and they are passionate about the experiences that they provide.
Mm. Okay, so now we have a sense of what you do. Let's go back and through your life and figure out now how the heck did you get here? How does anybody get to that position? So take us back to, where were you born? Where did you grow up? And what were you like growing up?
I grew up in Massachusetts, just outside of Boston, a little tiny fishing village, Rockport, Massachusetts. I think it's still listed as one of the most iconic, most beautiful little coastal towns in the Northeast. I thought everyone grew up with scuba divers in their backyard, getting lobstermen, getting the daily catch. And my mother was a ballet teacher and owned a ballet studio. So at a very young age, started going to her studio, which is where I started dancing. Ballet was a part of my life, not just throughout my childhood, but even into my adolescence, which I honestly think is where a lot of my work ethic comes today. And trust me, it wasn't always easy. But when you are going into Boston 7 days a week and leaving school early and rehearsing on weekends and doing 43 nutcrackers, every December, it wasn't, again, there were probably times I said to my mom, do I really have to go? I'm missing a party. And I did, and went away actually to school to Southern Methodist University, which has a great ballet program. So I was able to take advantage of the ballet program as well as the business school. And unfortunately, I was injured while I was at SMU, and that when you take time off from ballet, and I had to have knee surgery, I never actually really went back after that, and ended up graduating with a business degree. And ballet is still, I enjoy going to the ballet. It will always be a part of my life. Obviously, a different body ago and a different flexibility ago for me. But it's really, I think, a lot of I don't want to say why I am the way I am today, but I appreciate what I did and what I had, and that mentality.
So if we were to go back to your high school, and see you walking down the hall, what would we have seen?
A very social individual, and I have to, I went to a public school and I had 43 kids in my graduating class, very small town, that still live there and that I still consider some of my best friends. We were a very close community. When you again come from a town that is that small, you sort of know everybody, and was very social, had a lot of friends. Again, I use the word work life integration to this day. I believe that I really, really, really tried hard to integrate my ballet schedule with my social schedule, no matter what it took. So, I would do homework on the train going into Boston so that I could come home my senior year and go to parties at night. And really tried to not necessarily balance, but it was about living both of those worlds as much as I could. My summers were spent in New York, I should say, which was a whole other learning. My parents would up and move in the summers. So got the experience of, throughout being 14, 15, and 16, living in the city for a couple of weeks. My special moment was having Baryshnikov stand behind me at the bar one day on a Sunday morning class. We used to go to the same teacher. So again, it really, a lot of that melded me into who I am today.
So you have always, it sounds like, had a lot of stuff coming at you. I mean, constantly.
So, but yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw somebody like you, would you have said, "Wow, they got a lot of stuff going on"?
People say that to me often. I don't know how you do it. Again, our motto in our household is we do work hard to play hard. And people say it often, but I don't know any different. We travel, we go out socially, we work a lot, we travel for work, and it's what our norm is and it's what I love to do. It doesn't mean that I don't have moments that I just sit on my couch and I read a book, or I do what I did this weekend, and I did a digital detox and I went camping in a tent with my husband and son, and it was magical. So I think as long as you have those moments, yeah, I don't know any different.
That's awesome. Okay, so, graduate high school, off to, SMU, TCU.
SMU, Southern
SMU,
Methodist.
SMU, yeah,
Yeah.
to SMU, and then, get injured. Now, how did you get injured?
I was actually, you would think I did it in the dance studio. Unfortunately, I was in a car accident. It was at a South by Southwest back in the day in Austin. We used to go for the weekend back when I again was at SMU in Dallas and would drive. And it was before they had rhyme or reason to the parking at South by Southwest, which has obviously grown substantially in the past 30 years. And thankfully, it wasn't a serious, well, it was serious enough that I shattered my kneecap and had some other stuff and had to have surgery from it. So,
Wow, okay, so take us through, what was that like for you? When did you realize dancing was done?
I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason, and I got the unique opportunity to actually get a paycheck for, dancing for a ballet company throughout my later years in high school. And while I loved ballet and it was a passion and it gave me a lot of my drive, I always knew I wasn't going to stick with ballet only as a career, hence the reason I, went to business school at SMU. And so I believe that it was just sort of the moment of, okay, it's time to stop. I thought that I would continue on and just take classes just to stay in shape. Unfortunately, ballet out of all the sports and performing arts is something that is very hard to just do every once in a while. Your arabesque isn't exactly the way you want it unless you're doing it 7 days a week, like many, like you should be doing. And so it was hard for me to just do it every once in a while and not be to the level that I once was or believed I should be. So I stopped. And I haven't been in a ballet studio in years. I mean, I work out, I do yoga, I've done Pilates, I've, messed around at home, but I truly have not taken a ballet class in 27 years.
Mm. And do you miss it, or was it just time to take the next step?
It was time to take the next step. I do get, I hear music from the Nutcracker and I'll get a little teary-eyed. So, I mean, it was a part of me, but I knew it was time to stop.
And what did your mom and dad think about that?
Completely supported, and that was something, there is the fine li as a parent now, it is that fine line between pushing your children to have something that they're passionate about. It doesn't have to be as serious as I had it, and it's okay. I try to tell my son now, we call him the Renaissance boy, where he kinda tries a little bit of everything, and he's got, sports, and he's got performing arts experience, and he's got karate, and it's not that he's giving up, but he's at that young age to try it. And to answer your question, my parents were completely supportive and they knew that I wasn't going to do it forever. But grateful that I had the experience to do it and to travel and to um, kind of grow up in that environment of the theater that I did. So very supportive.
Okay, so dance is over, on to business. And then you
Yes.
graduated from SMU with a business degree.
I did. Yeah. Sports, sales and marketing and organizational business behavior policy. So, sort of that cross between strategy, HR, and business.
Okay. So you graduate and then tell us about your first job.
Here I am, MGM Resorts, back when we at the Mirage, and I moved to Las Vegas, like many, thinking I would be here for 1 year. I got a job at the Mirage as a sales coordinator, and again, I just literally had this vision. Well, I was looking at graduate schools, both on the West Coast as well as going back to Boston, which I thought and still think is the greatest city ever since that's where I'm from. And I'm a New Englander diehard fan. Um, I got the Mirage right before Bellagio had opened. And as a, company, that's the unique and great thing about MGM Resorts. And at the time it was Mirage Resorts and we were then acquired by MGM, is that the opportunities of growth sort of every 4 to 5 years I've been asked to sort of step into a new role. And every time you start thinking, is this, I've been doing it for a while, is this what I want to keep doing? So from the Mirage, moved over to Bellagio in sales and then moved into a leadership position. And then in 2006, had the unique opportunity to move over to City Center. So before Aria and Vidara were out of the ground and be a part of that pre-opening team, which was probably one of the most learning and humbling experiences. If you think about the timing of 2007, 8, and 9, when we were trying to build one of the largest privately funded multi-use development areas, got that open in late 2009. And obviously today my office is in Aria and I'm so proud of what that has become. From there in 2013, then moved over to Mandalay Bay, where we were about to expand the convention center another 350,000 square feet to become the fifth largest in the country. And that was, again, another whole new experience, right? From Mirage, Bellagio, and Aria to then Mandalay Bay. And then here I am in late 2019, got the opportunity to have the role that I do today with the company. And I've had that ever since. And obviously, since that day, there's been a lot that's happened in our world, and that's been its own learning.
Well, let's talk first of all, what did your parents think when their beautiful dancer daughter is moving to Vegas?
Yeah, it was hard. To this day, my mom is still my morning call on the way to work. I think that a lot of that was actually hard even when I went away to school. I graduated young. I was 17 when I graduated and went away to school when I was 17. And to be an only child and close to their parents, we always think about what it does to the child of going away, but it's also an impact on the parents, right, of when their kids go away. So that was unique, and thankfully, again, done a lot of talking, did a lot of visiting back and forth. And I think when I moved to Vegas, and not that there was surprise, but I don't know that they agreed that there would ever be intention to stay here forever. But it has certainly been the best thing for me, both professionally and obviously now that I'm raising a family here. So very supportive.
Yeah. And so, okay, you're now at MGM
Yes.
and COVID hits.
Yeah.
What do you
90 days after.
before we go to COVID, what were some of the big changes that happened along the way of your story? Because when I think back to Vegas, I've seen it be the family friendly. Well, first it was the cheap food, and then it was the family friendly place, and then it was not so family friendly. And like, what did you see as you went along that journey?
So, aside from the things that you're bringing up, my first leader at the Mirage gave me great advice. And he said to me, even if you don't have to go down the strip, and this is a colleague actually that's now still here in town. He said, I love to just drive down Las Vegas Boulevard on my way to work at the Mirage, even if I don't have to just watch because you see so much, right? 7:30 in the morning, 5:30 at night. Granted, there's more traffic than there is on the back roads, but I actually took that advice. And to your point about driving down that road 27 years ago to driving down it today is very, very different. Of course, time changes, things get upgraded, the world evolves. But to your point, from what Las Vegas has become to what it is today, which is not just a place to come and gamble. And, again, to your point about going to a cheap buffet and having, shrimp, it is really now there is no place like it when you think about the radius of the level of luxury of room product and offerings and diverse offerings, the culinary world renowned chefs that are here giving dining experiences, the arts, performing arts. And I used to kind of scratch my head when people would say, "Oh, Las Vegas really needs more performing arts," and I would think, we've got how many like amazing Cirque du Soleil shows, and and the Vegas, the showgirls, like that is performing arts. But to again, where we have come from, the opening of the Smith Center and the entertainment, both residency and big names that we get, there is no place like it. Sports now, when you think about where we were 10 years ago to really what started as the NHL with the Vegas Knights, and obviously now the Raiders, and now we've got the baseball team, and so it just keeps expanding. So what we have become is a destination that really has something for everybody at every price point and every experience. And you're minutes from the airport. You've got weather, that again, other than some dry heat in the summer. So it is. I'm very proud and passionate about who we are as a community.
Mm. Okay, and now let's take the big, COVID hitting. So you're a destination resort, you're a hotel, casinos, and all of a sudden COVID comes, and what happened?
And just to start out by prefacing that, saying I got this role in December of 2019, and then of course COVID hits in mid to late February. I ironically I was actually going back and forth to Japan, which is where we are currently building a new integrated resort in Osaka. And at the time, I was literally coming back from Japan in mid February when COVID starts happening. And the weight of being leader of a sales organization at a time when things are truly shut down, but yet keeping the team, keeping customers, keeping our buildings. And if you truly think about 4 or 5 thousand room buildings, we didn't have locks on our doors. We don't shut down in Las Vegas. We didn't have locks on any doors because we don't ever shut down. And when you have 4,000 toilets that can't have water sitting still, like there was a lot that had to continuously be done. And gratefully, I will never ever forget our current CEO, Bill Hornbuckle, calling me. And basically, I was calling and saying, the rules are changing, the policy's changing, this group wants to cancel, this group wants to move, and how to, and giving me the grace and empowerment to say, Steph, you have to take care of our team and our customers. And whatever decisions we make to ensure that they are going to be loyal to us, you go. You've got the direction to have that. And that really, not just to me, but to our sales organization, to be able to say to a customer, okay, contractually, we're in a space we've never known before. We don't exactly know how to handle this, right? There wasn't exactly anything written into contracts that really covered this because force majeure at the time was changing by the day. And our strategy, I have to say, really did work, where many groups that while we let them out of their cancellations and allowed them to move, are still our best customers to this day. And it helped a lot of those hard moments of you're having to have hard conversations, but having that empowerment. And that's not to say that we gave in to every single thing that a customer wanted, but it also was a time of taking care of people first and realizing we never knew what anyone was going through during that time. I shouldn't complain about it. I probably worked and was grateful to work more hours in March, April, and May of that year than as many people didn't have jobs to go to or didn't have people to be around. I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I would work until midnight. And, my family was on the couch watching the Star Wars trilogy. I have a little bit of regret about that I will never get that time back, but I knew it was what had to be done to keep things slowly moving forward that we could come out of this.
What would you say is the biggest decision you had to make?
Oh gosh, I mean, there were a lot of decisions. I'll answer that kind of the story I just told you of me getting the direction to give that empowerment. It was the decision on how much empowerment to just give to the teams to go. And, again, I told you 4 to 5,000 rooms, groups, per year. So for 18 months, there were groups that may have moved not just one time, but they would move from March to July, and then we didn't know what was gonna happen by July, and then July to September. So there was this continuous, decisions that we would have to make on how to handle groups, and we're talking multi-million dollar contracts and groups. I would say the other decision that was hard was, again, what everyone was going through personally, that balance of giving people that not feeling they had to take care of their families first. Some people, whether they had their own health related COVID issues or knew someone who did, or had people and family that were out of work or had kids at home. That was a big one. A lot of us, right, had kids that didn't have school to go to. And we, as a hospitality company, we were back. A lot of us were back in the hotel and in the office, right away, and ensuring that people had that knowing that they should take care of themselves first.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. That's kind of a scale to have to make a decision that impacts so many different people. How many people does MGM Resorts employ?
Domestically over 55,000. And then, yeah, again, here in Las Vegas, slightly below that. And we continue to expand internationally. As I mentioned, Osaka is in development, right, or is in construction right now.
Wow, so, okay, everything shuts down, you've gotta make decisions. Where did everybody stay on or I mean, I don't even know what did you actually do? Did everybody stay on with you or
So, very fortunate in the sales organization that, yes, we actually did we couldn't we had customers to respond to, more than a normal. We had actually more work to do than normal because it was things like figuring out, the new self health and safety protocols, figuring out new room diagrams of how many people could go in a room, menus, buffets, food, culinary. So, there was actually more work than there is in a normal world because we were in this new learning of figuring out how everything should be. So from a sales standpoint, again, I was incredibly grateful to the company. Here we were shut down, not making any money, losing money, and we were still keeping our sales teams, unlike, again, many of the, hospitality companies that obviously couldn't do that. Um, obvi- there was a period of time that we didn't need people in our buildings, right, to operate them. So to really use the time to say, how can we use technology and better ways of doing things when we come out of this? So that was really what we were focused on, is how do we become more efficient and provide better customer service as we came out of COVID?
Mm, wow. So, how has Vegas changed since COVID?
Well, Las Vegas was a destination that was very high for a lot of people the second they could travel. Just like many destinations were, Las Vegas did very well coming out of the pandemic, and we've continued, obviously, to see that momentum. I mentioned earlier, it isn't just about the gaming, but about the experiences. And if you think about, I said it, but when you drive down the strip and you've got Bruno Mars and Katy Perry and a Raiders game going on within a half mile of each other. So people came here to experience things that they couldn't get anyplace else. That demand has continued. Obviously, as we look into the future, Las Vegas continues to be a destination. And what I like to say is a value proposition that is like no other city. And trust me, I travel a lot. I know how much I pay for hotels midweek that have one restaurant and no gym to work out in. And here, you've got buildings that have 21 restaurants, 17 bars, a theater, a spa, a workout facility. And so when you truly think about the value proposition of where we are, how easy we are to get to, it continues to be, again, provide those experiences.
Wow. Yeah. And so take us through take us through a day in the life of Stephanie Glanzer. What is a day like for you?
No day is the same. I can assure you of that. It is a combination of internal, right? Internal leadership meetings in with my team, strategy, budgets, then customer facing, visiting customers in our buildings and touching base with them. And then thirdly, industry facing. I am very passionate as an industry where we need to be represented as thought leaders, talking about the things that are important to us. So when I'm not traveling, which I do travel quite a bit, I rotate sort of here today. I'm at Bellagio. I'm not in my office at Aria, but I had, again, I had people that I had to see here. So I do a lot of rotating throughout the day between our resorts. And then a lot of traveling.
Mm. So get up at what time?
That's it's summer, so I am on the summer schedule and taking complete advantage of it, and I'm getting up like at 6 versus 5 all the rest of the year. I get the advantage that I don't have to get a 12-year-old out the door by 7. The summer he has to be out the door by 8, which gets me that extra hour. So I feel like in the summer I get the extra bonus hour of sleep. So 6 o'clock, go for a walk, work out, enjoy just sitting sometimes, trying to get better about that of just sitting and relaxing. And then, get him out the door, race to get myself ready, and then usually online and working by 8, 8:30.
How do you how do you shut your brain down? Because 'Cause you've got so I can't even imagine how much you've got going on in your head and all the stuff. I mean, I'm tired just listening to all the things that you do, and how do you shut it down and get any rest, or do you?
I do, and the word is intentional. I am work MGM Resorts offers an incredible sabbatical program for all leaders that start after 5 years of service. It's both an incentive, it is a retainment, it is an amazing, amazing benefit to get paid time off to do whatever you want to do. And 2 years ago, when I hit 25 years with the company, I took a 6-week sabbatical and I used it to really think about exactly what you just asked is how do I continue to have the passion, the drive, the quality of happiness in life and still go at the pace that I had been going. And it's not to say that I don't give 110% anymore. I promise I do, and I still put the hours in, but I have learned I'm doing a better job of really integrating, you know what? I don't have to work at 10 o'clock at night like I used to. It's all there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and if I don't get to something, it's not intentional. I hope someone gives some grace to that understanding. I am better on weekends. I am better about not saying yes to every dinner that I get invited to and instead just stopping by just to say thank you. And for travel, it means I don't necessarily have to stay the entire 4 days. Maybe I can pop in for a day, get what I have to get done, and see who I have to do. So to answer your question, it's really about being intentional. I am trying to read more. I'm trying to listen to more podcasts. I am doing a much better job of not having mom guilt and really having one-on-one time, as much one-on-one time as our youngest is 12, and as much as a 12-year-old wants to have one-on-one time with me, which I think he still does, just really being intentional about it.
Do you schedule your days or do you how do you do it?
Yeah, I'm a to a T scheduler, unfortunately. My amazing, Patricia, who has been with me for many years, I think gets frustrated with me sometimes because I will jump in and try to change things just to be more efficient, instead of letting her do it. And again, she's amazing and knows how great she does. But to answer your question, yes, I am all about how can I schedule a day where I've still got, an hour of focus time to really just get stuff caught up. How can I schedule my day where I'm not going Bellagio, Aria, Mandalay, MGM, back to Bellagio, and really being intentional about, the drive time. And I am also intentional. I do something for all of my team members. They have focus Fridays where from 1 to 5 on a Friday is blocked out. We have a unofficial no meeting Friday rule in the company. Obviously not easy to ever do because we're in a 24-hour business, but I have 1 to 5 blocked out, not to go to a happy hour and not to leave the office early unless you have something you have to do, but really to spend the time doing all the things that throughout the week you didn't get done and I normally would be doing on a Saturday morning. So maybe it's getting caught up on online training, maybe it's reading an article, maybe it's working on a business plan or a project. So it doesn't always work, but I try to use Friday afternoons to get all that catch up done of something that can't wait till Monday so I don't have to do it over the weekend.
Mm.
Overscheduler. As my husband would tell me, I'm an overscheduler. I have a printed agenda of every trip we go on, every hour broken down, when to sleep on the plane. But if it doesn't go by the agenda, I'm okay with it. I just like to go into something with a plan.
And who develops that plan?
Most of the time, me. Yeah, most of the time, me.
When do you do that? So that's kind of what I'm meaning when we think about what's a day like for Stephanie. I mean, are you last thing that you do at the end of the day is plan the next day, or when do you plan tomorrow?
I do. Sunday nights are my look at the week. What can I have? What do I move? Is it, and then each night I look at my next day to make sure that it makes sense and I can't move anything. But yes, it is me and Patricia that do that on a regular basis. So
So when you get up in the morning, you've already got the entire day set up, but
yes.
in what type of increments?
That varies by day, it varies. It really varies. We again, as a company, are really trying to make sure that meetings are intentional, have agendas. Let's not just keep a meeting on a schedule just to have a meeting. That's the greatest gift is getting time back in your day that anyone could, loves. And so I that's even to answer your question, even in the morning sometimes to say, like, we have a meeting held. Is there something to talk about? Are we going to walk away with action items and progress, or should we take it off? So that does happen as well.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given, or the best piece of advice you've ever given?
I am a big believer in personal brands. I think your personal brand, how you show up, a lot like organizations, means a lot. And by the way, I've always talked about this in a professional sense, but I'm now having conversations with our kids about the importance of personal brand, how you speak to people, how adults recognize you, how your friends recognize you. And I think to answer your question, Gary, your personal brand means everything. It doesn't mean you have to be authentic. You have to be yourself. You have to believe in it. You have to know your superpowers. You have to know what you need to get better at because that's something I'm harder on myself probably than anyone is, and a little overthinking too much in things that I could improve on or what I didn't do well or how can I do better next time. But the awareness of all of those things, and then lastly, and I say this often, you never know what someone else is going through. And so many times professionally, people get frustrated or are upset by something that was not meant to be done intentional. So, kind of going back to give people some grace and try to put yourselves in their shoes or try to think maybe they really didn't mean to leave me off of an email or not invite me to a meeting or whatever it is, we have to make assumptions that people are not out to for the unintentional wrongdoing. and to give people some grace and give yourself some grace while you're at it.
I love that. Do you talk, I know you do a lot of speaking as well. And do you ever talk about what you just told me, the personal brand?
Many times, yeah.
Because you and I've had a couple of conversations before, and a couple things strike me. One, how much how calm you are with all the stuff that has to be going on in the background. And you don't put on 4 to 5,000 events without a lot of moving parts, and you never seem rushed, you never seem flustered, you never seem like, "Oh gosh, I can't," looking at your watch every second. So, how you do that is beyond me. Um, and then the whole concept is I've heard you say that before about the personal brand, and I've used that now a few times with some other people. And it's fascinating to see how they react to that. I'm curious what how it works for you when you talk about that at your events.
I think can you hear me okay? Just wanna make sure because you say I stay calm, but yet when technology doesn't work, I'm not calm inside. To answer your question, it is I believe that one thing that you do, right? Or maybe a couple things that you do as individuals, people make judgments about that. Unfortunately, it's reality. Whether it is showing up late to a meeting not once but twice, right? You again, that is your brand and a perception that people make of you. So in sales, which is really what I do, you have to make those connections through that first or second meeting. And how is someone going to what energy are they going to feel, when they talk to you? What energy are they gonna feel when they see you? Are they going to trust you? Are they going to open up to you? So especially in sales, why that is so important is really it's people making judgment about, "Do I want to work with this person? Do I wanna be friends with this person? Do I like this person?" And again, I relate it back to personally as well, right? Is that you want to be around people that you trust and get that energy from.
So would you say that you sat down one day and just kind of designed out what your personal brand was going to be? Or how did that come about?
Great question. I It's a combination of a few things. I go to a lot of sales training, leadership, right? Where personal brands were always talked about. Probably about 14 years ago, I did an internal training on personal branding. To this day, I still have the PowerPoint deck and I look at it. And when I it was an internal training class, right? Just for our salespeople. And through a bunch of research, it sort of said, here are the things that you should be thinking about in your personal brand, right? I gave you some of them earlier, like, what are your superpowers? What are your things you're working on? Um, what is your appearance standard? What is your communication level and skill? What are the words that you use? What is the speed that you move? I'm trying to my point is I often look back to that deck on, okay, like, I agree with 80% of what I taught that day. You know what I mean? Like, what I went through that day. So it's just always been something that's important to me. I am incredibly humbled and grateful that the past few roles that I've had, I didn't interview for. I actually didn't even apply for. And again, there's many examples of people like that. And in my opinion, a lot of that gets attributed to how people recognize you, or can they trust you to get the job done? Can you step into it? It doesn't that you mean that you're always ready, but it means that you have the risk taking to take the step and jump into a role and try to exceed in it.
So, for those of you listening that are familiar with the YOS, we only talked about Stephanie's why. So, Stephanie's why is to make sense of the complex and challenging. How she does that is by seeking mastery, right? Seeking depth and breadth and details. But ultimately, what she brings is a trusting relationship where other people can count on her. And so, Stephanie, when you and I were talking about that, how does that feel to you? And how is that in alignment with your personal brand?
I think it's pretty aligned. Again, we've had this conversation about the multi thoughts going in my brain, that my brain moves faster sometimes than people that I'm talking to, and I am very aware of it. And I sometimes am like, okay, but let's just get to let me just tell you how it should be or where I'm going to be. And I think to your question on the how is I try to be trusted as a trusted source to a lot of people, and have relationships where if someone, wants to talk about a situation, sometimes just be a sounding board of listening. We can all use those sometimes. Sometimes it just makes us feel better. So to ensure that I am open and I do have a lot of those relationships.
Yeah, and you mentioned it a minute ago that, everybody's looking to make sure that why you were able to get the positions you got without having to even apply was A, they already know you're incredibly capable, but they trust you, right? And trust was a big deal for why they didn't even have you apply. Just, will you take this job? And so
And again, I need to repeat, I'm incredibly humbled by that, but I do believe it goes back to personal brand, and trust me, I am well aware of the opportunities that I continue to work on, of that one step ahead or listening, not always giving the answer.
I really like the way you talk about personal brand. It's not what I was thinking about before. Um, because you talk about personal brand, at least my understanding, more about not just what you're wearing and how you can portray yourself, but it's who you really are and how you show up irrespective of the stuff you're wearing. I mean, just who you really are.
Exactly. It's why I always say know your superpowers, and show them off, because when you get together in a team building and they always say like who wants to do what, again, be aware of what you're good at. And there's many different, are you the connector? Are you the analytical? Should you do the numbers? Are you the presenter? Whatever the example is, be aware of them, because that is when there is a promotion, a project, a position, a speaking engagement, whatever it is, you want those to be exposed and known.
I love it. Stephanie, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us. Go on and on. I could just keep asking you question after question, I can tell. But I know you got another 4 to 5,000 events to take care of. So
That's okay.
thank you for spending the time with us. If there are people that are listening that want to follow you, learn from you, see what you're up to, what's the best way for them to follow you?
Yeah, I am very active on social media and always just like to give LinkedIn. So again, Stephanie Glanzer one is my LinkedIn, and but you can find me on all social media platforms.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Gary. I really appreciate it.
I really hope you enjoyed today's episode and that through today's guest, you heard how important it is to know your why and how impactful it can be in your life and the lives of those around you. Be sure to head over to whyinstitute.com and discover your why today. Remember, the more you know about yourself, the more you'll know about others. I'm Dr. Gary Sanchez, and I'll see you on the next episode.